Hey everyone, I'm going to try to do a one-shot video today without stopping and pausing. So hi, welcome. This is episode 4 of Brilliant, How to Trust Your Innate Worthiness. This is part of the School of Reverence summer mini lecture series, and everything that I talk about here, we go into great depths in the Embodied Wonderment Method Facilitator Training Program. This program is amazing for anyone that's helping others. It was first developed for folks working with in the field of psychedelic integration. It's an integration facilitation training, and that being said, it's helpful for anyone that's in service of others. And in the training, we start with ourselves. So that's why here we're tuning into how to trust our own worthiness. So welcome. And so today's theme is my favorite, curiosity and wonderment. I called the method the Embodied Wonderment Method because I feel really confident to say this. It is curiosity and wonderment that has saved me over and over. When I can get curious about really big emotions, really difficult situations, when I have the capacity to do so, it takes me out of this really constricted panic view into a broader view, a view where I can have a more capacity to discern and to have a look at what's actually happening. It slows things down so that I can actually see what's going on. You can see how that lands with you. I'm going to get a little bit more into it. So this will probably be about a 15-minute talk, and because that's all the YouTube lets me do. And I might get you to check in with yourself a few times and see how it lands, and then make sure you tell me how it does land with you. I love hearing everybody's responses. So what we're starting with is deficiency of curiosity. We're in a society that tells us what to do, how to dress, where to go, gives us advice and strategies, and this is how we do this, and that's how we do that, and that works for everybody, and no, that's not how it is. And what happens when we're in those type of containers that don't give us the time to get curious, to just wonder, we become very uncomfortable with the unknown, right? If we're used to somebody always having an answer right away for our discomfort, then we lose touch with being able to stand not knowing for a little bit. And it's in that pause of not knowing where we can actually get curious, where we can get out of the fix and change everything and more into like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. All right. I wonder what's needed here, And so that's where we're starting. We're just really deficient in curiosity. And also when I say wonderment, it's like wonderment is the landscape and curiosity is the path of that landscape, And so the landscape of wonderment in Buddhism, they call it all-encompassing space. It's a space where there's no judgment, where everything's welcome, where there's just everything is met with like, oh, wow, okay, that's what's happening. Damn, It's an amazing landscape to be in, and it's a tricky one because, like I said, wonderment is kind of a space of unknown. We just have to trust whatever is going to show up. And so that's the ground. And so therefore, the path is, how do we build our curiosity muscle? Knowing that the capacity for me to meet a really difficult situation with curiosity will automatically change the intensity of that circumstance, situation, emotion. It's very important for me to develop a skill in being able to access curiosity during difficult times. I'm just pausing a little, just seeing how that lands with you. And so then the path for me is, we'll talk a lot more about this in the next lecture, but the way in which I build my curiosity muscle is by going glimmer hunting. And I'll get really into what glimmer hunting is next lecture, but right now I want to actually speak to all of the landscapes in which I go glimmer hunting. So I'll backtrack glimmer hunting a little bit. The word glimmer was coined by Deb Dana, who is a nervous system educator. And when I heard that word, I was like, fuck yeah, I love the word glimmer. So glimmer is something, you could also use the word resource, is something that brings me back to my brilliance, that brings me back into my body, into my sense of self, into my sense of strength, that completes the stress cycle. It can look like so many different things. And again, not to repeat myself, I'll go into next week. And so when I heard that word, I was just like, oh my God, that's what I need to do. I need to go glimmer hunting. And I created this practice that I call glimmer hunting. And so glimmer hunting is orienting myself towards things that benefit me, not in a way of positive toxicity, not in a way of bypassing the hard stuff, but orienting myself towards what benefits me and really integrating that so that I'm more resourced, more resilient for hard times, so that I can go back to those hard times feeling more empowered and in myself. So that's glimmer hunting. I fucking love it. Today, I just want to talk about the different landscapes I go glimmer hunt. And so this came to me when I was at a meditation retreat. I was going through really huge pain pieces. I was struggling a lot because it was high altitude, and it really kicked in all my brain injury symptoms. And I had a teacher come sit with me for a few hours and check in and see how I was doing. And he said, Annie, how do you do it? I see you every day. I know you're in so much pain, and I just see you engaging with others. I feel like I can feel your joy and happiness and brilliance, So how do you do it? How do you live a joyful life with pain? And man, it was really helpful and important for someone to ask me that, because I was just being me, I didn't know that I was doing something. But yet I was applying some sort of practice to myself so that even though I was in pain every day, I could still engage with my world, because that's my thing. I fucking love relating with you all, with my world, And so I contemplated that. And I actually wrote it down that evening, and then kind of lost the piece of paper, And then I found it 2 years later and was like, oh, right at the right time. It's like, okay, this makes sense. So I wrote the 5 things that allow me to live a joyful life with pain. And now it's become the 5 landscapes where I go glimmer hunting. So I call them my landscapes of wonderment. And so the first, there are 5. The first is knowledge, education. There's something really healing about learning, having a language for your own experience, Whether that comes from nervous system education, learning about trauma and the nervous system and all those things, or whether it comes from elders telling stories for us to understand more the relatives that we share this world with. Wherever that knowledge is coming from, it's so healing to receive it. Even just particular words that I now have in my vocabulary have just been so healing. I can just think of one that is used a lot these days, which is the word gaslighting, or the word consent, when in my generation, no one used that word. And then when that came into knowledge, oh my gosh, has it ever helped people be able to discern what's happening for them and then resource themselves around it and develop a language around it, It's just super important. So that's number 1, whatever that looks like for you. But that's one landscape I go in every day. And then number 2 is daily practice. And I want to slow that one down because when I say daily practice, you might already have an idea, solid idea what that is. But I encourage you to dismantle what your idea of daily practice is, because I was definitely in this mindset, like daily practice is like an hour and a half of yoga and then a half hour of meditation and then getting some mountain biking in and like, no. Literally, like seriously, when I was getting so sick and I could barely move my body, daily practice for me was I just had a mat down on the ground, and I remember just crawling, like just getting myself on that mat just to cry every day, you know? And so to me, daily practice is a discipline, yes. It's a gentle one. It's one of coming back and back and back to myself every day, like making that commitment that I take pause with myself on a daily basis. So for me right now, my favorite one is reading tarot, pulling a card, you know? And so 3 is nature. Oh my gosh. Even thinking about the ocean or thinking about being in the middle of the forest shifts my physiology, you know? What's been most important, because I'm super privileged, I'm near a lake, I'm near the mountains, but not everyone is, and not all times in my life can I be. What's been super important for me to remember is that nature never abandons me, because I am nature. I can commune with nature at any time. I can take a bath and commune with water. I can light a candle and commune with fire. I can repot my plants and commune with earth. You know, I can hum a song and commune with air, wind. So notice your relationship to nature and what that looks like for you on a day-to-day basis. It's huge for me. And so number 4 is communing. And for some, it's like being with a bunch of people is not what's been of benefit for you right now. So just consider what you're communing with. Maybe you're communing with your plants, you know, every day. Maybe you're communing with the birds that show up in front of your window. Maybe you're communing with your dog every day. Like, who and what are you communing with? But like this aspect of being in exchange with another being or energetically with your environment is really, really important. It brings me back to myself. Number 5 is my favorite. It's ridiculousness. I go into the landscape of ridiculousness every freaking day. All this gets so fucking serious, you know. Like being in pain every day, it's hard not to get really fucking serious about it all. And so I'm so lucky that I have a kid that keeps me laughing every day, that I can go skateboard with. But sometimes that's like maybe playing ukulele or singing a song in the mirror. I don't know, but what's your relationship to play, to being ridiculous? Because what I do know is when we're in high stress, it's hard to access play because play is vulnerable, you know? And so, yeah, I encourage you to notice your relationship with play and how you could bring it in just a little bit more. So those are my 5 landscapes: education, knowledge, daily practice, nature, community, and ridiculousness. So take a moment, see how those land with you. Maybe you have more than that. Maybe you're realizing there's some landscapes you go to. I'd love to hear what they are. So your homework this week then is just that, noticing the different landscapes that you go in to resource yourself every day, and start taking note of what those resources are. You might have a lot more resources around you than you think. So actually physically write down the landscapes you go in and the resources that you find there. And remember that these landscapes can be physical landscapes, yes, and they can also be internal landscapes. So let me know what they are for you and how the 5 landscapes of wonderment landed for you. And next week we will get into glimmer hunting, which is my favorite. All right, remember to subscribe, like, comment, share, all those things, because I'm trying to build my little YouTube channel here. So I appreciate your support. Okay, much love.